a little task I'm working on today. I'm a production wood turner. So for me, time does equal money. So I have this job to make 6 little knobs. And I could start by going to the hardware store, buying some wood, bringing it back, drilling holes, putting inserts in, and then getting to the lathe and turning it. But instead, I'm doing this little hack. I've ordered these wooden knobs, which were so cheap, inexpensive that I can't believe it. They're way too big, but they already have the threaded insert in them. They're made out of maple. That's the material that I was going to use. So I'm going to do a little hack and turn it into this without having to go to the lumber yard and all of that stuff. So let's get to the lathe and I'll show you how I do it. So here I am. I'm making a jig that's going to hold these knobs while I turn it. So I went and used a compass, drew a circle. Here's the center point of my compass, and cut it out on the bandsaw. I'm using these jaws. So when I know these jaws have a certain distance here, and I've set that distance with this caliper, so I know how wide that is. So what I do is when I have to do something real quick, I just use that point and put it on the cone, and then push the cone into so that it's holding the piece. Now I don't want to go too hard because I don't want to split the grain. So I'm just holding it till I can feel that it's not going to move. And then I'm just going to take this pencil and this caliper, and I'm just going to try to figure out where that is. So I'm going to work my way in like this, and I'm going to say that I'm somewhere like right here. So that's where that's the size of my jaws. I held these calipers to see the opening of my jaw, and I just set it for that so my jaw's open to there. Now I'm just going to take this bowl gouge, and I'm just going to come in, and I'm using this kind of a scrape cut using the bottom edge here, and I'm just working my way in. I have to make just a cylinder that my chuck can hold. So speed is your friend. If you see it's moving, I'm trying not to push it so hard that I'm going to split it. So if it starts to twist, I just tighten up on my tailstock. So I go into here. Now I'm using these jaws, which they like to hold a cylinder. So I'm coming in. You can see my gouge is at an angle like this. I sharpen my parting tool at a little bit of an angle so I get a crisp corner right here. So that's going to just kind of bring me in here, give me a crisp corner, but now I just have to kind of angle it out to get a flat cylinder here that's going to be held in the chuck. Now the outside edge is not trued up, so I can do that now, or I can do it after I transfer it. I'll just do it now. And in reality, you probably wouldn't even have to do it. I'm just going to true it up so I'm nice and even. Now I take this out, flip it around, put it into my chuck, tighten my chuck, make sure I'm pressed equally on all of the points of my chuck. And so I often like to do this kind of thing where I just push it in with my cone so that I know I'm equally touching every single foot here. And then I just tighten the heck out of it. So I really have that nice and tight. Now, my knob that I want to make, it actually has an insert here. It came with an insert, and that's one of the reasons I bought this one. And that insert comes with a screw. So that screw is this size, and that's going to go right into this like this, okay? So I went and found a drill bit that when I held the solid part of the drill bit up against the screw, it was the solid part of the drill bit was exactly the core of this screw, but I could see the threads sticking out on either side. So that's the size I want to drill in here, because I'm actually going to thread this screw into this piece. So I have to pop out my cone and put this drill bit in. In this case, my drill bit is like, I believe it's an 1/8, turns out to be an 1/8 of an inch. So now I make sure that I'm locked to the ways and I'm seated into this part of my tail quill, and I'm going to drill. Till I see it pop through. And then I'm going to move this out my way. And I'm just going to do a little true up here with the bottom edge of my bowl gouge as a scraper, just to know that this surface is trued up. For these knobs, it probably wouldn't even matter because they're going to go tight to the drawer, and it wouldn't matter. But that's something you might need to just true that surface up a little. Okay, so I take out my chuck, and I'm going to put back my cone. Make sure that the cone is seated. Lots of problems people have happen from this. They've taken something out and they put it back, but they haven't seated it, so there's still movement in this. So you have to make sure you go forward enough so that there's no movement in your cone. Now I'm going to undo this piece of pine. And I'm going to thread this screw in. So this is something I'm actually going to go use a screwdriver because it's just starting. You can see I can do this by hand like this, but I'm going to actually go drive it in with a driver bit. All right, so I have this little bit here. I had to use a smaller size than regular, and there's my bit, and I just started it with my hand. And now I'm just going to drive this in till it's nice and tight, and you see it's come out the other side. So it won't move. I'm going to put it in here and relock it. I'm actually going to try to get it back in the jaws where it was in the jaws so I know it's sitting the same. And I might be off a little, but it won't affect the final outcome. Okay, so I'm going to take this knob and put it on here, and I can see I'm just a little bit out of whack, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. And I'm going to put it on till I'm nice and tight here. And then I'm going to use my cone to push it on because I know I'm not going to use this full length. And this cone is going to help push this on nice and steady. I'm just going to I've taken these calipers. I've set the calipers to the size that I want to go to here. And I'm just going to use my roughing gouge because I'm in a spindle situation where the grain is running this way. And I'm going to take this down to this size. So get down to right about where you think you're going to be. And then I just take the parting tool. And always with these, make sure you see the back go into your groove so that you're not at a diagonal like this. So I'm actually there. I'm just going to true that up a little. True that up a little. And I'm going to come here. Now I know this base is going to end up being smaller. So I'm just going to go to the bigger first. And then I can go smaller from there. So that's what I'm going to start with. All right, so I'm just about the right size here. So I'm just going to hold my knob up here. And I'm going to look at it and I'm going to see, okay, I want to go to about here. And then the distance I have here of this edge is like this. And then actually the top of my mushroom shape is here. So all of this is going to go. So I've set a separate, this is a different caliper, and I've set it to the distance of this interior space. So I usually start with that interior space. And what I'm going to use to make this groove here is I just have this Allen wrench. I make lots of tools with the Allen wrenches and Phillips head driver's bit. So I've ground it flat halfway, so it's halfway flat. And then I put it at an angle like this, and I'm going to use it as a scraper, but it's going to allow me to just go like this and pivot, and so I'm going to be able to get a nice curve. So I'm going from right about here over to here. I'm just going between these two places, and now I'm just going to put this in. Boom, I'm through. So now I look for the shape. I'd like it just a little bit more curved like this. And you can hold your other piece up to it and like compare your curves. So that's pretty good. Now I know I'm going to get rid of the rest of this up here. Now look what I'm doing here. I'm using the parting tool, but I'm cutting the top of the curve like this and then lifting like that. I'm not going straight into the middle of it. I can go into the middle like this, but it just scrapes little pieces. If I come up so that I start with my bevel and then engage the blade, that gives me some good cutting action because it's shearing the top surface off like that. So now I'm going to come in, and I'm using a spindle gouge that I sharpen in this very long orientation. I hold my hand down onto the tool rest, and I slice down until I get to that center point right there. And there I go like that. Now right away I can see I'm not quite hitting my pencil mark. It's showing like a ghost, so I'm going in a little bit more, and then I'm right to here. Now you can see down here I can see my pencil mark, so I'm going to come back with this scraper tool, and I'm going to come to my pencil mark, and here I'm just going to round over my edges. So that's my edge rounded over. Come back. Cut this piece right until I hit that, get it nice and smooth on top here. Now all I have to do is come back with my sanding paper, sand this in here. Now remember, I had to go a hair smaller here, and what I usually do when I do that is I set up the distance. So if I have to do 6 of these, I'll set a caliper at the base, the distance of that base, and I'll come in and cut the base to that point, and then I'll come back here and cut the actual jig so the jig goes to that point. Now, every time I put this on, all I have to do is cut the base until it hits that wood. So I won't even need a caliper for the base for the rest of them. All right, so that's my jig. You can see how fast that's gonna go. I'm gonna be able to turn 6, boom, 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 and turn this off, and there I go. So there's my knob, and it's matching this knob. All right, so that's my hack. Thanks for watching.